Hey everyone. I think I have this all set up where this should go pretty smoothly. So this video, I wanted to address a few concerns that I think a lot of us have in regards to the reporting in which we see coming from Without a Crystal Ball, specifically with sources. Now, over the past few days, I've been reminded of this PDF file I have regarding her sources, and just more and more things have come back to me, and I'm going to show something here to everyone. I'm going to show just how exactly she's full of shit when she talks about verifying sources, just verifying in general, let's be honest here. But also, I want to point out the problem with her using sources in the manner in which she does. It's been kind of eye-opening, just the things that I've read. So first, before we, as we start this journey here of Without a Crystal Ball and her sources and verification, let me remind you that she has shown us exactly how well she verifies her information. I'm going to remind everyone here of Kay Baxter's infamous stream from July 19th, where Katie Joy was on, and just listen to what she says about her having verified Steve's account. It's interesting.
But you verified that was Steve's account?
Yeah, it was Steve's account, yes.
Talking to Natalie?
Yes. It was not a fake account.
So they said it was a fake account. And when I spoke to people recently, they were like, I bet it was a fake Steve account. I don't think that's the real Steve account. So when you said it was the real Steve account today, it was like, oh, okay. But
okay, now you heard Nat, I pointed this out before, I know, but I'm going to do it again. You heard Nat say right there that, well, I was told it was probably a fake account. It wasn't until you verified, told me you verified it was his actual account today. Remember, July 19th.
I did report it in February, because the police weren't too concerned here. I mean, if he lived here, I'd have filed for an harassment charge and I'd have pressed charges, no doubt. But because he lives in the US, they weren't too bothered about my safety because he's in a different country. But it was filed and it was reported because obviously it scared me at the time. And I was given a victim thing to call to talk to people about it.
And she, today while we were emailing, I asked her to send me, she had him blocked, which I understand. And I said, please unblock him so I can see what account it was. Because, when you block, it goes to 0 followers and 0 whatever. And so she unblocked him and it had the it was the exact same account.
Here's what she doesn't make clear. She doesn't make clear what she's comparing this to. This same exact account of what compared to what? What is this verifying for you exactly?
He couldn't do anything outright. He had to hide because of the NDA.
Well, he was doing it on his, according to your own words here, he was doing it on his actual account. How is that not outright? He's not hiding there, okay? Unless you mean outright, meaning he couldn't address you, personally. But even still, according to the NDA, he couldn't really come at you or discuss you in such ways with any party, any third party. So the NDA kind of contradicts what you just said there.
Shins, I don't understand you saying it was all Nat and you're not buying any of this. There's no way Nat did all this by herself. She just
no.
There's no way.
We have so much evidence.
Okay, so there she says we have so much evidence. Evidence, okay, of what? Now, in the beginning of that video, you may remember where Kay had kind of clarified. So Steve's the one who Nat's been talking with Steve. So this is what Katie is referring to when she says it's the same account. She's claiming that she's verified the account that has been messaging Nat as being Steve's actual account. She's claiming she verified this. That day, even Nat says, you verified it today. Okay, and that was the 19th, right? July 19th. Okay. Well, let's look at this PDF file I have of the actual emails between Nat and Katie where they did this verification. Let's see firsthand in detail how this verification came to be. So, here we have the emails. Okay, so the email exchange here in the thread on the PDF starts on July 16th, but Steve doesn't even get mentioned until the 17th. So his name isn't brought up at all until right here. The first email that mentions him is on July 17th at 10:11, and I believe it's a.m. I'm not sure. But it's like the last sentence here of Nat's email to Katie, where Nat says, Steve threatened me. They say it's a fake Steve. A day at this point, I believe it. Maybe I'm done. Katie, have it all. I'm not hiding anything. Okay. If you can make sense of that, then you're a better interpreter than I am. So, moving on, Katie says, where did Steve and Tina threaten you? Also, where did she bring up Steve and Tina before? I believe she, meaning Little Miss Noble. Nat then says, Tina's been talking to me since January, but with Little Miss Noble for 2 years. She spoke to many in the community. Personally, I find it hard to think that Tina's involved, but I didn't know you had a TRO on Steve until last week. Yeah, I wish I'd known that before. Personally, I think that she says, yeah, dude, I wish I'd known that before, because she then would have just opted to blame Steve earlier. I don't know, or suggested earlier, rather. Okay, I thought I hit the mute button by accident. Okay, so then she says, Steve, mid-February, but Noble and others said it wasn't the real Steve, so who knows? She spoke to people on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, etc. Okay. I'm just sticking with the Steve stuff here because in the verification stuff with Steve, because that's the whole point of us looking at this right now. Katie says, fake Steve. Where did these conversations take place? I can check the username and verify. Nat says, Steve, ask anything from Instagram, but yours I thought was real too. Katie says, I'm guessing Katie then typed in his screen name into the search bar there in Instagram and pulled it up. Katie says, his followers are actually his friends. Where are the messages? Nat says, I don't have them anymore. Certain threads were deleted in April, the last time I was hacked or spoofed or whatever the term is. So hopefully Salts can recover. Salts has asked me not to talk to anyone anymore. So later I'll send screenshots from friends and alts and anything else related. And then if you need anything else, you can contact Salts. I love how she's kind of just giving Katie the brush off there. I hope you find everyone responsible, Katie. Seriously, I'd hand over my phone tomorrow if it meant you'd catch him. Katie says, this is not a fake Steve account. So what did he tell you? Nat says, but yours didn't look fake either, and I don't know the difference. So people say that not to take it as fact is rather be upfront. Okay, I can't. I don't have the patience for it right now. Okay, so next Katie says, okay. Oh, she's saying, yeah, but yours I thought was real or whatever. I just can't tell the difference. And then Katie says, okay, you never spoke to me, but that sounds like him. Nat says, I thought it did. All this time, I thought the absolute worst of you. I'm so sorry. The more I learn, the more I hate them all. I don't know either way, but if that's him, he's not a nice person. Katie says, he's dangerous and preys on women. Where are messages of you speaking to others about Steve? Nat says, I'll need to wipe out the names of people I spoke to. So sure, I'll give you that evidence, whatever you're looking for. but I can't give you any avenue in which to verify it. Sorry. I can't do that right now, so I'm with my nieces. I'll send them later. She says, okay, like, all right, that's acceptable, okay. Then they're talking about Little Miss Noble. Okay, and then Katie says, I confirm that the Steve account is real. Nat says, oh, wow, yeah, he's not a nice person. Okay, well, in that case, please stay safe. There's nothing physical evidence-wise I can give you. Like I can help you maybe, but like I can't give you anything that's gonna like really help you. So, and she goes on. Katie says, well, what did he say to you? Nat says, just nasty. He was creepy, like weird. The way he talks to women is vile. I showed my friends. I told Little Miss Noble, but she said he was probably just drunk. I wouldn't want to meet him on my own, let's just say, because he scared me. Like I said, I reported it. Katie says, was this the account that he sent it from? So now, from Katie's knowledge, Little Miss Noble doesn't have the thread anymore, so she can't reference where these messages came from. She has to rely solely on her memory. And the shit was deleted months before this. Memory, okay? Just, I want to throw that out there because even if all of this shit was legit, even if Nat wasn't making this up, Katie would have been basing this all on Nat's memory of an account that messaged her months prior. Nat says, no, this one. Katie says, can you unblock him quickly so you can see the number of followers? So Nat does. Katie says, it's his real account. Can you find any messages from him? Nat says, the thread as well as others were deleted when I was hacked. I'm told the police can recover, but I'm not sure how it's done. I'll ask friends because I send them screenshots and told them about it, so they may have PMs from February. Oh, okay. Yeah, have you told anyone what I just told you about Steve? Katie, I never mentioned his name. Yeah, well, whatever you've said, someone knows who you mean. It goes on to something with Jennifer Willowhaven. And Nat is saying how she doesn't like Jennifer Willowhaven, and she ends it with, and I have no reason to defend her as she hates me, but fuck it, I'd rather be honest and let her be destroyed by lies. To which Katie says, yeah, she's involved in other stuff. Like, she may not be involved directly in this shit, but she's involved in shit. Okay, now we got screenshots. There's a lot of screenshots we're going to skip over. None of these links actually connect to the screenshots anymore. And I tried, just enlarging them, but you can't read shit. Everything's blurred out. So that's why we're skipping over. Oh yeah, they did work. Okay. So, Katie says, okay, she pushed you to talk to Tina a lot. Clearly she's involved. Nat says, yeah, I did speak to Tina on Instagram and Twitter because Little Miss Noble told me to. Nat says again, these are messages sent to me. My alter EV. Okay, that doesn't matter. Katie says, do you have screenshots of your convos with Tina? Nat says, on Instagram, I can take screenshots, but not on Twitter, as Salt has my password and email. Katie says, okay, send me what you have from Instagram. Katie says, what video were they editing with Dottie? So Nat goes on to explain the whole thing and whatever. Katie says, oh, okay. Katie then says, are you sending our emails to people? She shares a screenshot from Shen's Pantyliner's account that says, these were just dropped in my inbox. I may not like Steve, but he's being blamed with zero proof, and these emails show that even Nat isn't sure that was Steve's real account. So how is Katie so sure? Nat says, no, I sent Sally, and she goes on to this whole long list of who she sent it to or whatever. Katie then says, don't send our emails to anyone, please. Yeah, that should work. Katie then says, are there any screenshots containing info on Shen? She's working real hard to discredit you. Nat says, I won't again. I promise, with my hand on Bible. Meaning I won't share anything with anyone. Nat then says, I'll have a look. I've been told Aaron just called me a liar. Great. Rumors are great. Rumors are nasty. You don't say there. Really? Katie says, you're not being sued that I know of. She's lying. Then more screenshots. Okay, now Katie says, you guys were speaking to Swanson? Katie, who is this about? Shares screenshot or part of a conversation with Tina. To which Nat says, I can't answer for them. I'm hoping messages can be recovered from my end, but please do not put that information public until it's confirmed. Police here stated not to, because authorities anywhere rely on civilians to get their message out to people, to direct them what to or not to do. Like, yeah, okay. And then Nat says, oh, Saltz, that's who it was about. Katie says, why is Saltz in a group? Nat says, he's not, I don't think. He was in her group. Whatever, he goes on to explain shit. Then Katie says, some of Tina's messages are cut off. Can you possibly make a screen record? Nat says, oh yeah, hang on. I spoke to her. I was still talking. Hang on. When I spoke to her, I was still talking to fake you without knowing I'd be talking to a fake you for over the past year. Please keep that in mind. Katie says, not a problem. So Nat uploads a screen video, shares it with Katie, and then more screenshots. And then Katie says, or Nat says, I'm sorry, are you and Saltz suing me? Katie says, it's pretty clear you guys are talking about Swanson and not Saltz about speaking to, and then it cuts off. Then Katie says, I'm not suing you, and I don't believe Saltz is. Nat says, I spoke to Swanson last year. I can't speak for anyone else. Katie says, Tina spoke about Clark being in her Facebook group. You all did this for Clark, didn't you? Nat says, that conversation was about Saltz, not Clark. I've told Saltz about my conversation with him. I don't know of his involvement with Steve or Tina. And then that's it. Sorry, I had to take my slipper off. That's it. That is the extent of her verification process for Steve's account and him talking with Nat. So in other words, she never saw the messages. There was no thread for her to follow back to his account to verify that these messages, this thread, was in fact coming from his account. You know what she verified? She verified that Nat can pull up Steve's account on Instagram and take a screenshot of it. That's what was fucking verified here. Maybe it could be even argued that Nat understands how to work the block and unblock feature on Instagram. That's what was verified. Wow. Did you have to go to college to learn these verification tricks? I mean, what? Come on. You verified nothing. And what's really telling is, think about what it is she's discussing, that she's claiming to have verified. This isn't some whatever reality TV story that she's reporting on. This is her shit. This is her fucking life. This is her family. This is about crimes that were committed against her and her son and her family. She didn't even apply like a reasonable amount of standards to a verification process. She took what was thrown at her and just took it and just went with it. And so now when people are talking or people investigate this harassment and everything, it's already muddled because of her. She didn't do it. She didn't give it its due respect. Nothing's going to be taken seriously now because she went crazy with trying to blame Steve and, well, all of us, but I'm going to apply this video to mostly Steve since it was his Instagram account that's being called into question. So now, before I continue, though, I want to just point out a few more things. Or as I continue, I want to point out a few more things before I come to the conclusion. So after that, I have... Okay. So I want to read just a couple of her posts from Facebook. So this one here is from January 29th, just a few days ago. What I can tell you, that I've spoken to people around the Duggars. I'm not lying. Oh, sorry. Some of these people are so awful that I cannot, for my mental health, speak to them because of how manipulative, toxic, abusive, coercive, and atrocious they are. Yo, she's talking about her fucking sources here, okay? This is ridiculous. It seems like, you know how oftentimes is the pattern is that she wears out her friendships? Well, apparently she wears out her sources in pretty much the same regard. I find myself sickened by others defending these people too. I'm tired of these people trying to control my platform. I have plenty of sources who don't manipulate, coerce, or behave sexually inappropriate to me. Gross. Oh, yes, some of these men are beyond inappropriate and horribly offensive in private. They're so arrogant, it's disgusting. Thank you for the info, but I'm good. I'm not anyone's friend. I'm reporting on a cult, and your cult tactics don't work on me. Okay, so then I've spent the better part of today trying to unravel the drama that is thrown my way by Amy King. I want to be transparent. I stumbled upon information that some people do not want out. This information has not been reported by me because there are so many moving parts. The information is verified, corroborated, and there are court records connected to some of the pieces. People at the center of the information have confirmed the most troubling parts and denied other portions. Notice how she said nothing here. Nothing. She has said fucking nothing. Other than, the only thing you can take away with any amount of confidence is that she spent her day doing bullshit. That's what she did. I'm still in the process of investigating, learning, and diligently seeking the truth. I am extremely careful in my reporting because I know that my platform comes with responsibility. When you have information that could become public, some people will do anything they can to discredit the source before that information comes out. I still don't know what I will do with the information I have. But I know that if I found it, the people producing for Amazon will find it too. I'm sure it's... Okay. At some point, what I know will be known. I am sure. That's a warning right there. Dude, at some point, I'm going to release this shit on you. Oh, I'm sure. I don't know if I'm the one to report it or if others. You won't know where it's coming from. But just be careful who you align yourself with when your world is chaos. Careful there, Amy. I do not think Amy or Deanna deserve what is happening. But I also don't want to be Amy's scapegoat. Yo, you think she deserves it just fine. Like, in fact, you're the one doling it, just dishing it out to her. That's how much you think that she deserves it. Let's be fucking honest here. Come on. And lastly, one question without a crystal ball routinely receives is why our sources don't want to go on the record about the Duggars. The sources that I speak to are all vetted in their connection to the Duggars. This means that I receive proof of their relationships, if they are unknown to the public or they are known to the public but want to protect themselves from retaliation. Jim, Bob, and Josh became quite powerful politically in the IBLP. Going on the record when discussing connections to a cult can be terrifying. It can be, I'm sure, but like Katie knows this. In order to vet the information we receive from a source, we will seek to verify the information through other sources. Okay, but how are those sources verified? Please, inform me. Because if you don't, it just sounds like this positive feedback loop of like unverified sources. Like, it's just not how it works. Sorry. Due to the wide net of sources that I've acquired, I can generally have more than one person prove or disprove information provided to me. This method is also used when a new source connects with me. Because there are many people willing to lie to become part of a story. Get the fuck out of here. It's like she thinks no one's ever watched her before. I mean, when and if I get a story wrong, I will always correct the information immediately. Why bother? If you can't inform anyone on how you verified the information to begin with that you are now claiming is false, and you can't inform anyone how you verified the new information that you're correcting it with, then nothing's verified and it's just as much bullshit as it was before you changed anything. So why bother? My hope that in time some of these sources will be willing to go on the record. I would love for you to hear it directly from them. Until then, I assure you that I will use diligence and ethics when validating information I receive. I will also be clear that a source's statement is their opinion or allegation related to the situation. The great aspect of my source network is that I hear that and I think of like drug network or something from like a cartel in Mexico, and just how it's like the network just reaches out to like upstate New York, for example. Like, that's a network. I hear her say this, and this is what I think of. I think of like this drug network going across the country. That's what her source network looks like to me. I hope this helps. I'm sure you do. What is that? Oh, okay. We're going to get to that in a second. So, oh, shoot, I forgot to show. All right. I meant to show this one after the emails, so I'm going to go ahead and show it now. Okay. So, she's saying that she verified that was Steve's account and that Steve was the one behind this, and so is Tina, whatever. Well, she made these claims back in July. Okay. This is from December, just like a month ago or a month and a half ago, almost 2 months ago. And it's from Michael Saltz. And he says, Steve, you should be made aware that Natalie Kenna appears to be continuing her efforts to fabricate evidence to claim you are somehow involved in her criminal conduct. We have asked her several times to stop contacting us. You can see below how well it's going. And he included just a screenshot of an email, whatever. Well, the lawyer, like the most known lawyer, whatever, involved lawyer in this case, just said, Steve, you should know that she's continuing her evidence to fake evidence to claim you are involved. We know you're not, so you should know about this. Well, then shouldn't Katie just clarify her statements, or, retract them? Say, listen, I was wrong. Like Saltz, I believe this. I was wrong. Weird. I mean, if she were accused of crimes, holy shit, you can bet your ass she'd be pushing, fighting, and just beating someone down figuratively until they just caved in and gave some sort of retraction and apology, and then kissed her ass for like the next year and a half. That's what would happen. But she gets to pretend like she never did this. It never happened. Yeah, because that's how much she cares about accuracy. Next. Okay, so I wanted to just... Actually, no, wait, this one's next. Why I think that this is dangerous. Well, where's Facebook? Okay. So I'm going to share this post here. If I'm going to include a link to last night's stream along with a timestamp and where you could find what it is I'm going to be discussing here. On her Instagram account, where she made this post here on Big Brothers Big Sisters, on her Instagram post though, of the same post, there was a comment by some page on it, something Concrete Abstracts or whatever, and they included a link. Okay, the link has to do with this in a sense, because here's what she says. A man that had history of whatever with child, but was never charged, volunteered for Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's how great of an organization they are, huh? That's what she's saying. According to Big Brothers Big Sisters website, all volunteers must pass a background check and provide references. I cannot fathom this organization allowing someone that discloses that kind of past to them would be allowed to mentor a child. Well, if he wasn't convicted, he doesn't have to disclose anything. I mean, but was he supposed to say, oh, let me tell you about what I'm going to say, whether they are or not, doesn't matter, but I'm going to tell you that these are lies on me. Let me tell you about all these lies on me. Anyway, so how was that Big Brothers Big Sisters fault? If there's never any formal complaint, if there's never any arrest, there's never any charges, and let alone any conviction, then how the fuck are they supposed to know? So how is it that this happens? I cannot believe this, to be honest, but it's the world I report on. No, I'm not disclosing the name of this person at this time. She already revealed it, yo. The live stream she did was she was showing her DMs and shit from Amy and whatever. She accidentally flipped her whatever over to her screen opened, I'm guessing on her, I don't know, maybe Safari app on her phone or whatever. But it opened up to a LinkedIn page. On the LinkedIn, you know what? I don't know why I didn't put the picture in here again. I did this earlier. It's my second time trying to record this. Yep. So. Come on, where are you? All right, let me try this. There we go. Okay. Do I have this open? Yes, I do. Okay, I do. So someone took a screenshot of what she accidentally revealed on her live stream. So as you can see here, okay, you see the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Big Brother Children, September 10th to the 20th, whatever. Okay, volunteer experience it is. See all these skills. The thing that impresses me most about Rob is his extraordinary versatility. Rob is an absolute expert in e-commerce. And this looks like it was written by Chris Naninga. So I saw that, and I just Googled Chris Naninga. And that brought me to Chris Naninga's LinkedIn page, which was immediately connecting me to Rob. So she already revealed this information through negligence, mind you. Apparently, someone of this name, Rob here, married Josh's ex-girlfriend or whatever. That's her whole point. So this is how this ties into her Facebook post here. No, I'm not disclosing the name of the person at this time. All I can say is they exist in the circles, and I regularly report on, but are not in the IBLP. So, also too, on her Instagram post, people were like kind of asking her questions about it, and she's like, nope, yeah, I'm told that he goes up to everyone and tells them this all the time. He's very honest about it. He tells everyone. The way she explains it, I'm picturing something like 10-second Tom or whatever his name is from 50 First Dates. You know, the character there who's like, hi, my name is Tom. And then 10 seconds later, he forgets. And hi, my name is Tom. So I'm picturing this dude running around to all these people that he's meeting for the first time saying, hi, my name is Rob, and this is what I did. Hi, my name is, she makes it sound so cartoonish. And shit like this should not be cartoonish. It's not come on. Stop it. Anyway. KJ, if you're going to write something, you need to check your grammar. This is at least the second post of yours. It's funny. I like that. Okay, so yeah, there's that. Now, here's why this is dangerous. On her Instagram post, and this is what I'm going to share a timestamp to and everything from last night's stream, because I discovered it on last night's stream, and I pulled it up, I showed it. On her Instagram post, there was a comment left from a concrete abstract account or whatever. You'll see in the live stream if you go to check it out. But this comment was just a link, only it's Instagram, so you can't really post links. You post the link text, but it's not embedded or anything, so you can't just click on it and poof, it opens it up in another window. You have to first highlight all the text, copy it, and then paste it into a new tab or whatever, and then it'll pull it up. Well, so I was kind of curious. I'm like, what's this? So I pull it up. It led to a news report from the newspaper in Baltimore or whatever. But the news report was about a man with the same name as the person here that she's talking about. Same name as the person who married Josh's ex-girlfriend. But they're not the same guy. Like, there's not one thing in common or one similarity, nothing whatsoever to even consider that they might be the same guy. I mean, what in the world caused this person to think that this could be the same two people is beyond me. So I bet I'm not the only person who put that link into a bar or a tab and opened it up. I'm willing to bet that plenty of her viewers, whatever, supporters did too. And I'm willing to bet that some of them even gave this poor man a bunch of shit for it. This is dangerous because now you're fucking with people's lives. Like, for real. I mean, it's one thing to do it to Steve or me or Tina or whatever online. But now you're doing it to people across the country and this in ways that can affect them offline. Like, this is insane. So yeah, this is why this is dangerous. And what I mean by dangerous, let me explain to you. And websites. I'm going to be reading just little parts from these websites here because I think it's important to acknowledge that Katie says she's a professional. She claims to be a professional reporter, an investigative journalist, even, she said, at times. But she has not made any efforts whatsoever to qualify herself to be such a profession. If the quality of her work or the ethics of journalism were at all important to her, or if your trust as a viewer or reader was at all important to her, she would at the very least have audited like college courses that would have helped make her a more ethical and better writer, or college courses similar, just any way that would have made a difference and validated her in this profession. She hasn't. I mean, she hasn't even looked into, I'm guessing, any kind of journalistic ethics. I don't even think she's taken a refresher in creative writing. I mean, her grammar mistakes and whatever kind of support that theory. So what is it then that she's lacking? Like, just a rough idea, obviously, because you can't learn all of this shit in like half an hour or whatever. So let's just get a rough idea. So this is from spj.org, and I'll put all the links in the description. So they say, okay, this is, I guess, a paper or whatever written by What is SPJ? I don't even know. I probably should know since I'm referencing it. I'll figure it out. It's referencing, well, yeah, Code of Ethics, basically, okay? So, I'm not going to bother reading the preamble. So here's what they determine. Ethical journalism should be accurate and fair. Journalists should take responsibility for the accuracy of their work. Remember that neither speed nor format excuses inaccuracy. Provide context. Take special care not to misrepresent or oversimplify in promoting, previewing, or summarizing a story. Gather, update, and correct information throughout the life of a news story. Be cautious when making promises, but keep the promises they make. Identify sources clearly. The public is entitled to as much information as possible to judge the reliability and motivations of the sources. Consider sources' motivations before promising anonymity. Reserve anonymity for sources who may face danger, retribution, or other harm and have information that cannot be obtained elsewhere. Explain why anonymity was granted. Diligently seek subjects of news coverage. Okay. Avoid undercover or other. Okay. Be vigilant and courageous about holding those with power accountable. Give a voice to the voiceless. Don't take it away. Because let's think about this here. Referencing her post regarding the Josh's ex-girlfriend's husband. Unless he has a shitload of siblings, it's going to be pretty easy to deduce who the victim was here, right? Katie just outed that fucking victim, more or less. How is that giving a voice to the voiceless? Like, you're forcing your words down their fucking throat. How is that not another assault? Assuming that these claims made against this man are at all correct or credible. I don't know, because she gives no source, nothing to provide any information one way or the other. No one can validate it. Support the open and civil exchange of views, even views they find repugnant. Okay. Recognize a special obligation to serve as watchdogs over public affairs and government. Watchdogs, not judge, jury, and executioner. Provide access to source material when it's relevant and appropriate. Label advocacy and commentary. Never deliberately distort facts or context, including visual information. Clearly label illustrations and reenactments. Never plagiarize. You hear that, Duggar Snark? Yeah. Okay, minimize harm. Journalists should balance the public's need for information against potential harm or discomfort. This reminds me of her discussing Josh's crimes and the videos and the CP material. Balance the public's need for information against potential harm or discomfort. You can report on these crimes without causing extreme discomfort for those you are reporting to. Pursuit of the news is not a license for arrogance or undue intrusiveness. Show compassion for those who may be affected by news coverage. Avoid pandering to lurid curiosity, even if others do. Balance the suspect's right to a fair trial with the public's right to know. Consider the implications of identifying criminal suspects before they face legal charges. Yeah. Okay. Act independently. Journalists should avoid conflicts of interest, real or perceived. Disclose any conflicts. Refuse gifts, favors, fees, free travel, and special treatment, and avoid political and other outside activities that may compromise integrity or impartiality or may damage credibility. Wow. That's like everything she's done. Be wary of sources offering information for favors or money. Do not pay for access. I don't know if she's done that or not. So, deny favor treatment to advertisers, donors, or other special interests. Okay, be accountable and transparent. What? Oh my God, this should be funny. Journalists should explain ethical choices and processes to audiences. Encourage a civil dialogue with the public about journalistic practices, coverage, and news content. Respond quickly to questions about accuracy, clarity, and fairness. Acknowledge mistakes and correct them promptly and prominently. Explain corrections and clarifications carefully and clearly. Expose unethical conduct in journalism, including within their own organizations. Abide by the same high standards they expect of others. This is funny. Can you? Okay. Next. Come on. Okay. This I thought was interesting. So this is from Masterclass articles. What is ethics in journalism? And this was written by, I want to try and give credit to the authors here when I can. Written by the Masterclass staff, which over here I think this is James Patterson, Aaron Sorkin, Shonda Rhimes, and David Mamet. I think I apologize if I butchered any of those names. I'm sure I likely did. What are the standard ethical principles for journalists? There are several key ethical standards that appear across global news organizations. At the highest level, they call on journalists to seek the truth, act in the public interest, and minimize harm. So, these are honesty. Journalists have an obligation to seek out the truth and report it as accurately as possible. This requires diligence. This means making every effort to seek out all the facts relevant to the story. Journalists should also corroborate any information with multiple sources. Independence. Journalists should avoid taking political sides and should not act on behalf of special interest groups. Any political affiliations or financial investments that might constitute a conflict of interest with the subject they are writing about should be declared to editors and readers. Some organizations characterize this principle as objectivity, while others, especially nonprofit, civic journalism projects, reject this term, as they position themselves explicitly on the side of public interest. Why do I feel like I might be on mute? Because that's just how my luck goes. Okay, no, I'm not. Oh, my stomach's growling again. Okay, good. Fairness. In addition to being independent, journalists should show impartiality and balance in their reporting. Most news stories have more than one side, and journalists should capture this. That said, they should not place two different perspectives on equal footing where one is unsupported by evidence. The exception to the impartiality rule is opinion writing, as well as gonzo journalism and creative nonfiction, which is not journalism. Public accountability. News organizations should listen to their audience to enable the public to hold them accountable. Journalists should write under their own bylines and accept responsibility for their words. When news outlets publish factual errors, they need to issue a correction. Harm minimization. Not every fact that can be published should be published. If the amount of harm that could come to private individuals, particularly children, as a result of disclosure exceeds the public good that would come of it, the news outlets might choose not to publish the story. This is less of a consideration when it comes to public figures. It is huge, however, in matters of national security where lives could be on the line. Avoiding libel. A little late for this one. This is a legal as well as a moral imperative for journalists. She's an immoral journalist. How about that? Oh, I love that. That should be her tagline. Like, really. Journalists cannot print false statements that damage a person's reputation. In most jurisdictions, true statements cannot be libelous, so journalists can protect themselves by rigorously checking facts. Proper attribution. Journalists should never plagiarize. If they use information from another media outlet or journalist, they need to attribute it to them. I think that was all I wanted to, that was all I want to talk about in this one. So next we have just some facts here in Wikipedia I thought were interesting. This is about advocacy journalism, because I kind of thought that this might apply to her. It's a genre of journalism that adopts a non-objective viewpoint, usually for some social or political purpose. It's with an agenda, which is fine. I'm all for that. Some things need advocacy journalism. I fully agree to that, and I support it. But you got to be upfront about it. Some advocacy journalists reject that the traditional ideal of objectivity is possible in practice, either generally or due to the presence of corporate sponsors and advertising. Yeah, that's probably why this is a thing now. It's because of the ads and things on social media sites. This is probably like the majority of all journalism out there now. Some feel that the public interest is better served by a diversity of media outlets with a variety of transparent points of views, or that advocacy journalism serves a similar role to muckrakers or whistleblowers. Objectivity. Advocacy journalists may reject the principle of objectivity in their work for several different reasons. Studies have shown that despite efforts to remain completely impartial, journalism is unable to escape some degree of implicit bias, whether political, personal, or metaphysical, whether intentional or subconscious. This does not necessarily indicate an outright rejection of the existence of an objective reality, but rather recognition of the inability to report on it in a value-free fashion and the controversial nature of objectivity in journalism. Many journalists and scholars accept the philosophical idea of pure objectivity as being impossible to achieve. Since it's impossible to achieve, why bother? It's never. But still strive to minimize bias in their work. It is also argued that as objectivity is an impossible standard to satisfy, all types of journalism have some degree of advocacy, whether intentional or not. Okay. Next. Oh. When is it okay to use anonymous sources? I thought this was interesting. Okay. Valuable news often originates from whistleblowers who would be in danger of losing their jobs, or in some countries their freedom or their lives, if the information was traced back to them. News of official abuses, human rights violations, war crimes, or environmental dereliction are some of the areas where anonymous sourcing has broken a story wide open. Think Watergate or I don't know, I can't pronounce it. Correct. I give up. Go ahead, make fun of me. I get it. I really do. I don't have that big of a vocabulary. Like when I first started writing for the blog, for the vaccine site, it dawned on me just how very small, limited my vocabulary was. So I made it a point to broaden it. And it's still a work in process. I'm just going to leave it at that. In cases such as also too, I want to point out that when I started writing for that blog, I did audit courses, okay? I did a lot of just reading, and I basically taught myself. I don't want to say again because I'm not sure I ever really learned it the first time, but maybe I retaught myself how to use punctuation, how to construct sentences, okay? How to use proper syntax and grammar. I spent a lot of time doing that, and I gotta say, seeing where I fucking started from to where like my most recent thing I've written, comparing the two, I'm fucking proud of myself, you know? I took it, I don't know how seriously. I took it pretty seriously, at least for a little while, and long enough to see such an improvement. It's just too bad that other people just don't want to place the same value into their work. Anyway, in cases such as these, with the approval of managers, the AP may grant anonymity to the whistleblower in text withholding the name, and in video and photos showing them from behind or in silhouette. So you see what they're saying there? They at least produce a body, and a body that is speaking the words that they are putting out there for everyone to hear. So they're showing that there is a source, and this is what the source is saying. They're just not showing you who the source is or any identifying information other than it's a human being. That's it. But Katie's not doing that. In addition, for anonymously, in addition, for anonymously sourced material, the AP routinely requires extra corroboration in the form of more than one independent source. And managers need to approve any use of anonymous material. At the same time, there is a lesser variety of anonymity that has become all too common. Sometimes paid spokespeople find it inconvenient to allow their names to be used even for official information. In some parts of the world, it is against rules or custom for spokespeople to be identified by name. Wherever possible, AP journalists are urged to push back against such requests for anonymity, pressing for permission to use the name or bypassing the information if necessary. And this is what I've heard oftentimes, that the way it works, at least in our standards of journalism here in America, is that when someone comes forward and is insisting on anonymity, the reporter will not report what this person has said and said that from an anonymous source. They will instead take that information and seek to corroborate it through other means and other channels, and then report on those channels. Because that's like the responsible thing to do and shit. Another poor practice is quoting from social media posts in which the real identity of the poster is unknown. Just say no, no matter how pithy or amusing the tweet. Both these practices are banned under our standards. Oh, this is the, oh yeah, it's from the AP. Okay, Associated Press. Yeah, that's interesting. The bar against anonymous comment is set high at AP. When the AP does agree to use anonymous material, reporters must have a good reason. We should provide, as specific as possible, a description of the source to establish his or her credibility. For example, according to top White House aides or a senior official. And when relevant, describe the source's motive for disclosing the information. If a story hinges on leaked documents, the reporter must describe how the documents were obtained, at least to the extent possible. AP's statement on new values and principles lays out the rules anonymous material may be used only if the material is information and not opinion or speculation and is vital to the news report. The information is not available except under the conditions of anonymity imposed by the source. The source is reliable and in a position to have accurate information. Interesting. Almost done. Okay, so we're there's just little tidbits on each of these I wanted to read. Oh, that's right. Okay, I was looking at something else there, so we're gonna go. Okay, what was I looking at here then? Okay, so this is like ProPublica. This is their Code of Ethics. I thought that this was interesting. So this is what your credible, your more integral media outlets would insist on in terms of journalism ethics or code of ethics. Okay, so. Encourages customer. Okay. ProPublica will suffer, for example, if our readers cannot assume that our facts are accurate and fairly presented. Wait, I don't. These responsibilities include following several important guidelines in our approach in news gathering while writing and editing and after publication. We strive to identify all the sources of our information. Shielding. Now listen, when I talk about this, I'm not saying that she should out her sources. Hell no, not at all. Okay, that would be like one of the worst things she could do. Don't do that. What I'm suggesting, strongly suggesting, is that she not use the sources in the manner in which she's been using them. If she wants to talk about responsibility with her platform, well, this is how she's being irresponsible with her platform. So this is what you need to change. Shielding them with anonymity only when they insist upon it and when they provide vital information, not opinion or speculation, when there's no other way to obtain that information, and when we know the source is knowledgeable and reliable. To the extent that we can, we identify in our stories any important bias such a source may have. If the story hinges on documents as opposed to interviews, we describe how the documents were obtained, or at least to the extent possible. We do not say that a person declined comment when he or she is already quoted anonymously. Editors have an obligation to know the identity of unnamed sources in our stories, so that editors and reporters can jointly assess the appropriateness of using their information. Sources need to understand this practice. Now, who's her editor? Who's the voice of reason keeping her in check here? You know? Who's insisting on her being transparent in her behavior, in her actions while she's reporting? You know, and I'm not necessarily transparent with the public, but with another body. Like, there's none. There's no oversight at all. That's crazy. So someone who's just reporting, dishing out what she's claiming to be facts, there's no oversight. She can just claim whatever the hell she wants. She can sit there and say unnamed source or anonymous source and just fucking have nothing. No one. She could make the whole thing up. Or she can play stupid or whatever, use a fake email herself the tip and be like, oh yeah, anonymous source. This is crazy. So that the editors and reporters can jointly assess, okay. We don't misidentify or misrepresent ourselves to get a story. When we seek an interview, we identify ourselves as ProPublica journalists. ProPublica. We don't pay for interviews. We don't plagiarize. Yo. Just gonna say, Duggar Snark. Nothing in our work should be fabricated. We don't use pseudonyms, composite characters, or fictional names, ages, places, or dates. Overall, we must be fair. Investigative reporting requires special diligence with respect to fairness. Whenever we portray someone in a negative light, we should make a real effort to obtain a response from that person, preferably in person. We should give them a reasonable amount of time to get back to us before we publish. What is reasonable may depend on the urgency and competitiveness of the story. If we don't reach the parties involved, we should explain in the story what efforts were made to do so. No story is fair if it omits facts of major importance or significance. Fairness includes completeness. I just want to point this out again with her explaining how shit was verified. She omitted not having seen the messages, nothing to compare the screenshot of his account to. She omitted the whole thing, and she let the listeners just assume that it was all verified when it wasn't. No story is fair if it misleads or deceives the reader. Fairness includes honesty, leveling with the reader. Anytime a question of fairness or accuracy is raised about any aspect of our work, whether by a source, subject, or a member of the public, the reporters involved should discuss the issue with their supervising editor and decide what response is awarded. When mistakes are made, they need to be corrected fully, quickly, and ungrudgingly. Yeah. I just want to go through this quick. I think I'm all set though on this one. I do want to go back to the original page I'd come to over here. Okay, so this article here is an interview, or it's by Jason Grotto, but it's okay, yeah. Okay. All the person's been, who cares? I never quoted an unnamed source in a story, but I've had sources who are anonymous to readers. They are a key part of the work we do, but must be managed carefully to protect them and guard the integrity of our work. Wrong information from a source, especially an unnamed source, can undermine a story and damage a reporter's career and a news organization's credibility. In many instances, anonymous sources never appear in stories. They figure in the background of stories, providing reporting roadmaps or insights into information already gathered by a reporter, or providing roadmaps and insights for the reporter to go out and gather the information. When I was working on a series, Make no mistake, these relationships are tricky, and if handled badly, they can lead to questionable conduct on both sides. This is why it's crucial for reporters to disclose the identity of their anonymous sources to editors. It's important to understand a source's motivation for speaking and determine his or her agenda. I always tell sources I will verify everything they tell me. As long as I'm aware of their agenda, I can balance the information they give me with other relevant information, or challenge their information with other facts to build a story that includes multiple points of view. Some news outlets prohibit, this is what I wanted. Where's the other one I wanted to pull up? Okay, I guess it's gone, okay. Some news outlets prohibit quoting anonymous sources or allow it only when naming them will jeopardize their worker safety. Our Code of Ethics says that we try to identify all sources. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I think that's good. I think we can wrap it up there. I think I got my point across probably. There was one other, I don't remember the page, so basically, all right, I'm going to wrap this up. Okay. It's important to acknowledge that in using anonymous sources and not providing any information about the sources, their involvement, their relation, or the information they're providing, without corroborating anything, without just verifying any aspect of it, connecting it to something already known, it could be anything, anyone's imagination that you're hearing or reading. I mean, and to just be able to say, I mean, we're not even talking like this. She doesn't use anonymous sources like once in a great while. She uses it every fucking time she reports on the IBLP, pretty much, along with other stories. I mean, I'm not sure that really, how many stories has she reported on where there wasn't an anonymous source or one or more? I mean, it's the whole signature of her journalism or whatever. Everything that she does is based on the concept and the existence of anonymous sources. That's nuts, okay? And what's even more nuts is she's not just using this to report on shit like the bake sale at the church down the street or whatever. She's fucking with people's lives. She's fucking with people's professional, personal, and national reputations in some regards. I mean, and I'm not even talking just like with Toddy Westbrook or not even with Todd Chrisley so much. Like the shit that she's saying, and the shit that she's saying about those in the IBLP, statistically speaking, it's gonna be true sometimes about some of the people, because wherever you find humans, you find all aspects of human behavior, good and shitty, and the shittiest. So just because something she said happens to be true, like it would in any walk of life, doesn't make what she's saying true, because she's not using this as a, just remember, anywhere you go, there are some people who are really fucking shitty people. No, the IBLP is a cult, and it's shitty, and they're all abusing kids. They're all criminals, she said. Remember? They're all fucking criminals, is what she said in her live stream. That's her accusation. She's, oh my God, so many sources have reached out to her to tell stories and everything. So she is blanketing anyone. And she's even moved on to the point where if you even associated or agreed to be on a show with these people, then you condone their behavior, and therefore you are just as guilty as they are of corporal punishment. That's what she's saying about Amy now. And this whole thing is, I'm going to bring it back to Steve. Because, Steve is her first victim. And her longest victim, because she's still fucking pushing this. She made it up. She fucking made it all up. And now she's making up the verification of shit. It's all... It's all stemming from her vengeance for whatever reason. It's weird. Like, it's crazy. Like, I mean, you want to talk about stalker and obsessive. Dude, you're so hung up on ruining this guy's reputation to the fullest extent that years later, you're still fucking doing this. What is more obsessive and stalkers than that? For real. I can't think of anything. And really, it could end. She could just say, all right, let's call a truce. I take it all back. Whatever. I retract it all. That won't happen. She will push this as far as she can, and she will make him pay for ever daring to stand up to her. And she's going to do this to anyone and everyone else. So if you've been a source to Katie Joy, if you have reached out to her with your personal stories that you did not want released, I'd start putting your affairs in order. Because I don't mean affairs like something that's going to happen to you. I don't mean like that. But I mean, prepare yourself for the wrath that might come your way should people find out what you told Katie. That's what I mean by put your affairs in order. Because, let's face it, it's not a matter of if she will out you or blow confidence or your anonymity. It's a matter of when. Really? Is there a story that she's reported on where she's described or explained that she has used a source without identifying them, but describing them to some degree so that you know that this source is specific to an action in the story? Has there been one of those types of sources that she's not fucking outed? I don't think there has been. Maybe there has been one or two, but I'm not even sure if there has been. I'm curious. I want to know what people's thoughts are. Let's see if we can put together a list here. Or even, I don't know, 10 names. 5 names. Whatever. And this is the harm when you try to do a professional type of career on a professional scale, claiming to be a professional. You're pretending. You're playing house. You know, I don't know what else to say. Only it's not cute. You're not the cute little kid sitting there making mud pies, whatever, with the plastic little spatula and their piece of shit play school plastic stove there in the driveway. No, you're not cute. This isn't cute. You're burning down people's lives, their livelihoods, their reputations. That poor officer there in Minnesota, like, dude, that was upsetting for those people involved. I mean, the shit that they put them, she sits there and she has the nerve to put out these things and everything to the FBI officers, which they deserve, don't get me wrong, but to these FBI officers and or Homeland Security that investigate crimes of CSA and, CP. She extends this like they have the most thankless job and everything. What do you think these police officers, these law enforcement officials, these detectives, investigators deal with when they investigate crimes of SA? They have to hear this shit. They have to subject themselves to and expose themselves to the worst of humanity. And what do? You turn around and make up a bunch of bullshit about them because you're pissed off and you want to burn this fucking guy's life down to the ground along with the police departments. Why? Because you didn't get your way for whatever reason? I mean, I get being upset or whatever, having something like that happen to you and not having shit transpire from it. But you don't take it out on the very people who were in your corner, who were your advocates. That's just fucking asshole. I'm sorry, but it is. So, This is the problem. This is the danger. And I can't believe I didn't think to put this video together sooner. So, but hey, at least I did it now. So on that note, I'm going to end this now. It's been long enough. And I actually finally recorded a copy here of this that I can actually feel good about. You should have seen me like the past 2 hours. It was fucking hilarious. I couldn't even think of words. It was crazy. All right. Anyway, on that note, bye.